Say 42, if you or someone you love is thinking about selling property purchased when the real estate market tanked, need you to listen up. Now that real estate prices are up again, many of us facing the prospect of paying huge money in taxes if we sell. I'm glad Shari is in our studio today because she's breaking down all of this. My first question to you is, how do taxes work when you sell real estate?
Sure. Well, when you sell real estate, Mike, the tax that you owe is capital gains tax. And that's calculated based on the difference between what you sell the property for and what we call your basis, which is what you paid for it, plus the cost of certain improvements while you owned it, plus the cost of certain costs to sell it, like your real estate commission, but then minus depreciation that you took while you owned the property. And the thing is that we're expecting more and more people now to owe more and more money in capital gains taxes because they bought these properties at such huge discounts,
like
20, 30, 40, 50% off when they bought. So it's a good problem to have, but it's a problem.
Sure. Some people take that tax hit and say, okay, I'm still making money off of it, but they need to be aware of it.
Well, they need to be aware of it and of some of the provisions that can save you money because we're talking about tens of thousands of dollars.
Absolutely. So speaking of that, can anything be done to lower the amount of tax you have to pay in this type of sale?
Yeah, well, it really depends on how you use the property. So a lot of people are familiar with the capital gains exclusion on your primary residence. When you sell your home, you can keep $250,000 if you're single, $500,000 if you're married, without paying capital gains tax on it. But it gets a little more slippery when we're talking, for example, about vacation rentals, because the tax provisions that apply then are going to depend on how many days you rented the property versus how many days you used it yourself, which is something people aren't aware of when they're, saying to their next door neighbor, sure, you can rent my beach house for a month. And then for pure income property, we have an entirely different provision that applies, which we're getting a lot of emails about because a lot of small landlords became landlords for the first time when the bubble burst and they saw a home for sale down the street and figured they'd buy it for rental income.
Sure, let's talk about that and any other tax provisions we need to know about today.
Sure, well that, for pure investment properties, we're talking about the 1031 like-kind exchange, which is really important. We're going to see this used more and more because of the reasons that we're talking about. So if you sell an income property, say a rental home that you had purchased when the bubble burst, if you sell that income property and you buy another property for the same amount or more money, and it has to be a like-kind property, so it has to be another income property, and you identify that other property you're buying within 45 days of the sale and actually close on it within 180 days, then you get to defer 100% of the capital gains tax, so you pay absolutely nothing. But those time periods are very strict. Literally, only a presidential declaration of disaster can extend those time periods. But there is another loophole called a reverse exchange, where you can actually identify the property you're going to buy before you sell the first one. So there's some flexibility, and it's important for folks to know.
Boy, I'm glad you're here to break that all down for us, because sometimes people don't think about that when they get such a home for a discount. So Shari breaking it down for us, and she'll be back before you know it. Back to you, Holly.
All right, thanks, Mike. Here